Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hello and welcome to the Dork Forest. I'm Jackie Cation. I am your host of the Dork Forest. You probably know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. We're all over iTunes and whoever has downloaded it and repurposed it for whatever your needs. That's right. So feel free to review the show on iTunes. Feel free to email me, Jackie@JackieCation.com, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Anyway, let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg composed and sang that song you just heard. He sang it with his wife, Sarah. He'll sing again his words to the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Patrick Brady is going to fix this audio, and Vilmos does my website. Okay. There are many ways to support the show. Let's talk about them. The easiest way is just to tell other people about the show and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat at Jackie Cation and tell people, word of mouth. Another way to support the show financially, doesn't cost you anything, is the Amazon banner. On JackieCation.com, there's an Amazon banner under support the show. And on DorkForest.com, there's just an Amazon link that takes you to Amazon. And both take you to Amazon. You order like normal, and the show gets a little bit of a kickback. Doesn't cost you extra. It's just a way, if you order from Amazon, to help the show. More direct way of helping the show, you can give money to the show via PayPal. There's a PayPal button under the Support the Show page on JackieCation.com, and there's a PayPal button on DorkForest.com. You can donate directly. If you want to give monthly, I haven't made that easy. I don't have a monthly setup. I know that it's easy. I just don't have any time to do it. So you have to remember every month that you like the show and then give me money. So I'll use it wisely on audio cables and chocolate, whatever. Another way to support the show, if you don't like PayPal, is people have been Venmoing me money. I'll take it. That seems lovely. Jackie@JackieCation.com. It's just under Jackie Cation. So whatever. If you have listened to all 600 and whatever episodes of the Dork Forest and would like more Dork Forest, there are premium episodes, probably a dozen of them. And they are, in the last couple of years, if I do a live episode, it usually costs me some money. So I have been putting them up on Bandcamp, and they cost money. They cost $2 a pop. But if you go to the dorkforest.bandcamp.com, you can see those different shows. They're usually live episodes around the world. And there is also four stories on a sort of a handmade storytelling album that I made over there too. And those are just $1 each. So if you want to go to Bandcamp, you can do that as well. You can order merch on JackieCation.com. There are shirts and CDs and a DVD of my stand-up. There's the stand-up CDs, Circus People, It's Never Gonna Be Bread, This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux, and my brand new album, I Am Not the Hero of This Story. And they're all available as CDs on JackieCation.com. They're all available digitally on Amazon and iTunes, and you can just listen to them on Pandora and Spotify and whatever. So, but if you like hard copies, let me know if you want them signed or not. There's also a DVD of the Horcrux album, which is video. That's what a DVD is. And you can download that at comedyfilmnerds.com if you just like a download. Okay, there are shirts. There's my stand-up shirt, Spooky Reading Girl. There's also 2 Dork Forest t-shirts. So there's the Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt, and there is a Dork Forest logo shirt. And all the shirts are made in the United States, union made, so they run a little big because they're made by Americans. Other than that, my stand-up is available on the website, on JackieCation.com. You can watch my Conan sets. You can watch a bunch of different stand-up sets. You can, and then you can see what my schedule's like. Enough of this. Let's get into the show. It's a really good one. Hey, it's Jackie Cation. I'm in the living room with Andy Erikson, you guys. Andy Erikson, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. It's Andy Erikson. You're a Minneapolis comic. That's how we know each other. And so you just moved here probably less than a year ago, maybe.
3.5 years, Jackie.
We don't have seasons. Andy Erikson.
3.5 years. I've lived in this apartment more than I've lived in any other apartment that I've ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yes. And I've lived here in Los Angeles now more than I've lived anywhere else in the whole time of my life.
And it went by in a blink.
In a blink. So Andy, it's spelled Andy. Erikson is Erikson. And it's at Andy Erikson on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep. Twitter, Instagram.
And your website.
My website's andyerikson.com.
Oddly enough. And we are going to dork out. First of all, you're a great comic. Do you have an album?
I have an album called Secret Unicorn.
Secret Unicorn, you guys. Welcome to the Dork Forest.
And the intro is done by a unicorn, introduces me. And
that's what they say. They say if you could find one unicorn, then you'll find the rest of the unicorns.
It was my husband, so.
Playing the part
Playing
of the unicorn. Very nice. And then I broke open the Pockies.
Yep.
Pocky. Nobody wants to hear me chew. So why don't you talk about the fact that you just got back from Japan? Did you go there looking for unicorns?
I went there looking for Pokemon.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, I'm going to play Pokemon in Japan. And anytime I'd bring it out, my husband would be like, because he's so conditioned to be like, stop it. Stop playing Pokemon Go. But I'm like, we're in Japan. Like this, I'm living out my dream right now. Let me do this. And I would have to reason with him. I had to be like, okay, I'm just going to play while we're on Wi-Fi for like 2 hours. Like, that's it. But I would have to wait till he would like take a nap. And then I would just like.
And then loosely just go as far as the Wi-Fi would take you.
Yes, which was not very far. But when you're on like, here's an insider tip. Go into a very tall building. And if you're at like the top floor, it can't tell where you are on the street. And so it'll like think that you're walking around. So you'll get lots of points while you're sitting and you can like go between different like
buildings
Pokestops. Yeah, because
interesting.
it can't tell, it doesn't know where you are. So I just did that and I caught Pokemon. And I made sure I was in charge of a gym while I was there too.
What's a gym?
You battle to like be in charge of a gym.
Oh, yeah.
And then I took a screen capture of myself and like you can see like Japanese, it was a Japanese building and I'm like, I'm in charge of a gym in Japan. And everything is happening. I made
Everything is happening. Are there more Pokemon in Japan than there are here in the United States?
I think it's the same. They were the same Pokemon. I don't know why I imagined it would feel different, but the app just looks exactly the same.
Here's my question. Now this is what I've heard about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is that they like here in Los Angeles, you get temperate Pokemon.
Yeah.
If you are in Florida, you get sort of swampy Pokemon.
Yeah,
They've taken the time to do the terrain that you happen to be in the real life.
Yeah, and when I was in New York, they were a little different.
Were they urban? Were they urban Pokemon?
Yes.
They had little
They were
suits
aggressive.
and ties, and they were polite until you weren't, and then they were super rude.
Just stole my Pokeballs, called me names, spit on me. And then here they were just really like vapid.
Sure, they just phoned it in, you guys, and they want to have lunch because all the caricatures.
I'll take it.
And but I would think like if you went to Palm Desert, there would be desert Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the water, there's water Pokemon, and in the mountains, there's.
So did you get any rares? Did you find anything exciting?
First time I got Shuckle. He's a little turtle. I got like the little bear one, Umbreon. I was able to find a few that I didn't have yet, which was exciting.
That is exciting. Is that the whole game? Is you collect Pokemon?
Them all.
And then who do you fight? Do you fight offline?
Right now, you just fight at certain locations. Like they have gyms, and you go and you try to battle to have your Pokemon be at the top of the gym, and then you can collect like coins that can actually be transferred to like real money, kind of. And you can use the money to buy stuff in their little Poke shops.
Okay,
more Pokeballs, and yeah, I just want to catch them all.
You have been well trained by the television program.
I need to tell you this. Growing up as a kid, when Pokemon came out, and I didn't become like a big fan of it until 6th grade, which was kind of a little bit too late because then 6th, 7th grade, I felt like I was a little bit older.
Yeah, that's
but not really. But
it didn't matter because there were still people who were committed.
Totally. And I used to go to bed every night. I swear to God, I did this. And I would pray that Pokemon was real. I would pray. I would be, please God, when I wake up, because at the time, like, I really believed in God. And I was like, he's going to do this for me. And I would wake up and I was like, please let Pokemon be real. And I would wake up every morning and look out my window and I would just look for Pokemon. And I did it like all the time. And eventually it just fast.
Well, eventually it does go.
But then when Pokemon Go came out, I was like, it happened. I was crying. Like I was at a show. I downloaded the app and then I was just gone. My husband was like, I didn't find you till the end of the show. Like you did your set and then you were just on the street, like in the middle of the street.
Looking for Pokemon.
So and people keep telling me like, they roll their eyes like there's wars going on. And I'm just like, I don't care. This is my dream.
Right. Well, I have two things to say about that. Is, first of all, my niece, who is probably your age, when Pokemon came out, they never had cable.
Oh.
So she never got to watch it. And one time I go down there and she was watching Digimon.
Oh, Digimon.
And I said, what is Digimon? She said, it's sort of the crummy stepbrother of Pokemon. And I was like, she didn't say stepbrother. That feels critical of stepchildren. I was the stepchild. And, she was like, it's okay. It's not as good as Pokemon, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh so hard because she was like 11. She said, it's exactly the same, but still not as good for some reason.
No, I played that one too. I played the card game of that just because I wanted to like everything. But yeah, everyone kind of knew.
Right. And then when I first moved here, I babysat for a young woman, a girl and a little boy. The girl, now about your age. Everybody. It's been a long
25
time.
to 35?
Yep. That's what you're playing, right? It's you can play a newborn, just throw some goo on you. And when she turned 11, she woke up and would not stop crying that she didn't get a letter from Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
She wanted a Hogwarts letter so bad.
So she was at the age, so she became a fan like around the same time as the first book came out? Or
no, I think the first book came out in, 95. And she was probably 11 in 2003.
Okay.
Or 2000.
Okay, so she's young.
So she was, So, but she was just devastated.
Oh.
And I was like, kid, don't, and I got her, a necklace with a wand on it. Oh. And, that she lost immediately.
Here's what she needs to do. Because I remember
to this day.
I read the first book right as like an 11-year-old. Like that's when I read it.
You read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone when you were 11,
yes.
The year that it came out?
Yes, that's when I started reading it.
You're the coolest.
Well, actually, it was pretty cool. My parents actually read it to me.
Yeah.
And I grew up kind of with them. I mean, I got older than them, obviously, because the books came out slower, but, just from the beginning. But that was my dream too. I didn't pray for it to be real because I kind of just thought it was real. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of waiting. But
because you wouldn't know about it if you were a muggle. Yeah. It's in a parallel universe as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, exactly. And interesting side step too, my dad's nickname is Merlin. So I kind of had that in the back of my head of like, maybe
I come from magical people.
Maybe that is his nickname. But he can never find the remote. So I was like, it's probably not.
It's probably not as accurate as because he would just Osseo it and it would be all just fine.
But I ended up going to wizard camp a few years ago.
That's right. You went to Harry Potter wizard camp for adults.
Yes, it was only for adults. They did
what state was this in?
It was in Richmond, Virginia.
And it was in a dorm?
It was in a college campus. And it was a college campus. They picked one that looked kind of old school, like a castle. And it was so amazing. Like they spared no expense. It was amazing. They had
Was it expensive?
It was surprisingly, I don't know how people gauge expensive.
And how long was? How long was the camp? A week?
Okay, it was 4 days. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then so we had 3 days with the LARP on Friday night, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. And it was in Richmond, Virginia, college campus. And they did a Kickstarter event for it, like close to me, like 9 months before. Okay. And they wanted to raise like $40,000 or something. Right. They raised close to $500,000 for the camp. That's how people were like, oh my gosh.
I guess we can afford to do that. Yeah. Then yes, everyone can do this. Everyone can do that.
So I paid, I think I I immediately was afraid that the tickets were going to sell out. Like, I was so afraid.
Did you get in on the Kickstarter?
Yeah, so I was in on the Kickstarter because luckily people know I love Harry Potter, so people share stuff with me. And every once in a while they'll be like, I'm sure you've already seen this. I'm sorry to bother with showing you this if you've already seen it. And I'm like, no. I don't care if I've seen something awesome 10 times. I do not want to miss out. I'm so glad you sent this to me. I had a bunch of people send it to me, but it was amazing every time because I could be like, I'm going. I immediately bought 2 tickets. It was $900. I still had my last comic standing money. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I had my 2 tickets and I was like, Alex, we're going to Wizard Camp. And he was like, no, I'm not.
Aw.
I know.
He didn't want to go?
No, I was like, I talk about it on stage, but I was so upset because like.
Clearly I must have Alex Klein on to talk about his own fucking dorkdom because what do you love if you don't want a free ticket to Wizard Camp?
No, I didn't understand. And so I talk about it on stage, I go like, I can't believe I married a muggle. Like I was so upset. And he doesn't know, so I brought my cousin, which ended up being great because she's such a huge Harry Potter
Well, that's
fan.
it. I mean, you have to bring someone who cares.
Exactly.
You can't bring someone who doesn't care.
Force someone to go to Wizard. I force you to make your dreams come true. Like, no.
So when you got there, did they have costumes for you or did you bring your own costume?
Okay, so they provided robe and you had to provide your own wand. So you could have a robe, and if you wanted to add like augments or have makeup, they would do your makeup if you wanted to, like, or if you wanted to like get bit by a wolf, they would like.
Oh, if you wanted to be a werewolf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Honestly, they had teachers, and like I took a potions class, and then they used like dry ice and all these different color changing things, and you made like little spells and put them in little bottles, and you could use them on people.
Nice.
And everything just felt so real, like. It was in like they had like a great hall with like banners hanging down. They had like a school song and they had like a school choir.
What?
Yeah.
So did they hire a choir?
They just had NPCs, people in game. They were prepared, for the 9 months where they're like, let's meet, and they practiced together online.
Yes.
And people prepared spells and they created like a textbook for everyone, so you could buy a textbook. So you actually have like a legit creature textbook.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Monster Book of Monsters kind of book?
Yeah. And it just has all the information, like how to take care of them. And you got to pick like what field you wanted to study. You got to pick, so there were 5 houses instead of 4. So you would would figure out which house you wanted to be in. And then you picked what year, like first year, second year, third year.
Oh, okay.
And so you kind of got to live out. I decided to go first year because I wanted it to be real. Like, this is my first time there. And then you kind of did rushing. You would go to the different houses and they had parties and you would try to pick which house you wanted. And then they had this big ceremony where they picked people to be in their house. Okay. And I picked the troublemaking house.
And were they called that? What were they?
Lakai Laveau was my house. It was the Gator house. And every house had like cheers, and ours was like, I can't remember. It was like just something with, you did like a gator sign. But we had an initiation. Every house had an initiation, and ours, we went out at like midnight and we went over this river in like this little like creepy hut, and we walked around with candles, and we just went like, and then as they like, swamp monster, do you accept Andy into my wizard name was Faraday. Do you accept Faraday into the swamp? Yeah. And then they go, our swamp grows by 1. And then we walked around. It felt so real. Like, I was scared. I was like, I can't believe this. It's like we're doing a real spell. And
oh my God. That is hilarious. Here's my Monster Book of Monsters. Feel free to pull the tongue. Pull the tongue.
This is so exciting. Oh, that's legit.
Yep.
Oh,
and if you pet him. And then I just went to the Harry Potter Wizarding World.
Oh, you got your one.
I had a previous one that was not an RFID one.
Gotcha. Oh, you got to go RFID.
You got to go RFID. I think I did.
Hermione's one.
I got Hermione's.
Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it and then I have the British versions in hardcover. Yeah.
Are they different?
The covers are, and they spell color with a U. And they call sweaters jumpers. And
it's totally worth it. I'm going to buy them all.
I bought them both in hardcover and in softcover so I could reread them in softcover. And then I must have lent them out to somebody because they're gone.
Yeah, I don't know where that too. I don't know where my movies are.
And then I had I've got all the movies too. I think, and then so was that your first ever LARP? Live action role playing?
Yeah, and here's the thing. afterwards I was talking about it to people and being like, yeah, we dressed up and it felt so real and we played out these characters and they were like, oh, I didn't know you liked LARP. I was like, it's not LARP. LARP's for nerds. And they're like, no.
LARP's for nerds. Oh, I'm sorry. I went to Real Wizard Camp.
Yeah,
I don't hang out with nerds. Well played, I say.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, I did LARP. I do LARP. And I just remember in college hearing about it and thinking like, that's so weird. But now I'm just like, oh, I get it and I love it. And
so now you like to LARP.
Yes, I love it now. Like, I totally get it. Because it was like basically doing, I mean, I like improv too, but it felt like that. You're doing improv scenes, but it's
a great acting exercise.
Oh, totally. I wrote it off as a tax write-off because it's basically like going to school to learn how to just go with the flow and.
Yes, and.
Yeah, and what's great, they have really great mechanics. So this was a Nordic LARP and it's called a blockbuster LARP.
So this is a different LARP that you've done.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people are used to LARPs where you like get points and there's battling involved. And this one is all about building a story and not worrying about having like a big income.
To my knowledge, to my knowledge, there are two kinds of LARP.
Yeah.
There's boffer LARPs, and there's theatrical LARPs.
Okay.
When Andy first started doing LARPs at UCLA in the early 80s, middle 80s.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't have different names for them, and it was almost entirely theatrical LARPs. That's all they did. It was just, they were act outs. And I have told this story before. It's getting told again, Rangers. Here it is. The first LARP I ever went to, well, when I first met Andy, he was going to do a LARP. And it was essentially a LARP of, it was a clan meeting, not the clan, clans of the Appalachians, possibly in the clan, but not discussed. There's no racism LARPs that are happening in Andy Ashcraft's world. I'm sure they are in some nightmare world where, please do not email. Okay, so, but he played, it was this LARP where, it was like a family reunion in the Appalachians.
Okay.
And there was going to be banjo playing and there was going to be music and dance and it was going to be a big dinner. And he wanted to go as, a woman.
Okay.
And he told everyone he couldn't come. It was only him and the game master who knew that he was coming. So he got a friend of his who did makeup for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I think at the time. And I saw him get made up as essentially the ugliest woman in the clan of the Appalachian family. And the purpose and he wrote his character sheet and his goal was to get married. And so, he's
so cute.
And it was adorable. And nobody knew who it was. Two people eventually discovered who he was at the end of it.
No
and
way.
What gave him away was his hands. Oh. Cause he has man hands. And cause he is a man. And so, but nobody, cause his nose was different. I mean, they put like different prosthetics on his face.
And he just kept it.
And he wore a real nice dress, house dress that a nice Appalachian lady in the 30s would wear. And so that was my first introduction to, I was like, what are you doing? And then the next one he did was a zombie LARP at their friend's, at his friend's house. Cool. And the house zombie LARP was, everybody was at the house and then all of a sudden there were zombies.
Whoa.
And one of his friends, like he has friends that are couples who have kids. And so only one of them could come. And it was planned during the middle of the LARP that his wife would call and say, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's oh wait, there's someone at the door." And and the zombies had been coming in through the doors. And so I guess I think it was Brian Tatosky, whatever, but Brian is like, "Don't answer the door. Don't answer the door. Don't." And she was like, "No, I'll be right back." And then all of a sudden he just heard over the phone, So
that's so amazing.
Right. And then the first one I ever went to, it was me and Maria Bamford went and we were extras.
Whoa.
We were
NPCs.
Cool. Because because people always say, "Can I watch?"
Oh.
And Andy was like, There's nothing to watch. It's dumb. It's dumb to watch. You either have to be in it or not be in it. And I was like, well, can I do craft services? And then you can send me in, if you need an NPC. And he said, yes. And so Maria and I did craft services, and it was a Sandman LARP. And it was Sandman, the Neil Gaiman comic book. And it was the 5th one. And Maria, it was 40 people. Wow. And they had written, and it was The Wake. And, essentially, there were 7 or 9 one-act plays that had been written by different people in it, of the death of each of the different Endless. And Maria, to this day, she knocked it out of the park. They still talk about it, and it had to be 15 years ago, because she did. It was the death of Desire. Desire is one of the Endless, and she was the reason that Desire died. She played Apathy. And it was this big act out. So it was super fun. And then in our house, we did a Deadwood one. And there was some racial slurs that we had to move into the garage. Crazy so Richard Becker. Anyway.
That's so it's so cool to hear about the different types of LARPs.
Right. And then Andy does an ongoing one that he helps run. Oh, cool. That I did once. It was called Starship Valkyrie, and it's set on a spaceship. Cool. And I was the medic. I was the medical officer. And, but Aaron Vanek, who does a lot of Cthulhu LARPs and is big in the LARPing community and works with schools to do LARPing to help kids get out of themselves a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. He was always a fighter pilot guy. Cool. Anyway, so which ones have you done now that I've taken up 5 minutes?
No, that was awesome. It'd be cool to hear more about the space one
and that's ongoing. You can do Starship Valkyrie. Yeah.
I have, I did this. My second LARP was one on where it was called Event Horizon in San Francisco, and it was right by the ocean, and you got to play a group of explorers from other planets who just found this new planet. So you find this new planet, and you're all trying to figure out who's in charge, what the rules are. There were no rules. And for this LARP, the last LARP, I was someone who was really good. And this one was I want to be a troublemaker. Yeah.
Bad guy.
So I was a bounty hunter, and our job was we wanted to find a way to steal as much as we could to be able to hold thing over people's heads and then be able to steal a ship and then leave.
Okay.
So that was our plan. And so
I read that book. It was a prequel to Dragon Riders of Pern.
Yeah, I love Dragon Riders. And my cousin went with me on that one. My husband again was no, but I told everyone, I didn't know how to explain it, but I just told everyone I was going to space camp.
Right.
And then people were really excited for me until I was oh no, I'm not going to NASA space camp. I'm actually going to a new planet.
Right. We're going to go play Imagination in the woods. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And was there any kind of game mechanic to it? To determine if you were successful?
At the very end, there was a surprise event that happened where they had this artifact, and it was just amazingly beautifully built, just giant structure that was iron, and there was a code. You could solve these runes, and if you figured out the code based on these runes that were scattered all over, so you had to go on missions to even get all the pieces to figure it out.
Right.
You could punch it in, open it up. So on the very last day, they had this thing where hey, let's try a code, and they tried it and it opened up, and we're just and then there's this bright light coming out, and there's this alien inside.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, from over the hills, 40 people in white hazmat suits come at us with swords. And all of a sudden we're just in this epic battle. And we're just
awesome.
It was I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Cause no one knew, we thought we were going to open it and it was going to be a party. Hey, you did it. We saved that we have this new technology. Good job. You figured it out. And they were coming at us and we're just okay, this will be fun. We'll just quickly beat them and it'll be over. No, it took us 3 hours. We were battling and hiding and running around.
Did you have weapons too?
Yes, we had buffers, but in the game, if you get nicked, if you barely get touched, you have to scream like you were in the worst pain of your life.
Right.
So some people they did it to whatever varying degrees. I guess they had energy for whatever they felt like it. So we were just getting demolished because these were extra strong fighters, where normally when you're fighting with another person, you can kind of work it out beforehand, like, hey, who do we want to win? How do we want this to go? But with them, it was just like, nope, you're not going to win. And we were just like trapped in this room, and they had us surrounded. People were sneaking out. And then if they caught you, they were turning you into robots.
Okay.
Into evil. So they're just becoming more and more. And there was this
one
countdown.
big blob. Oh my God.
And then there were they had to like, their goal was to get 5 of the like chosen people, that they need to get 5 before we got our 5 together. And then whoever got it first would win. So it was like go down to the wire. And then eventually they were just kind of like, okay, guys, like we're doing a lot better than we thought the bad guys were. And I had become one of the evil robots.
Right, right.
Let's go a little bit easier on them and let them. And I was like, yeah, totally. Because people were so scared and it was so hard to beat them that we just thought we thought there was another mystery to solve. Like, no, you just had to keep fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, the thing is once, as far as I can tell in the games, whether it's D&D or a live action role playing game, there has to be, you have to compensate.
Yeah.
Just to make it so that everybody has fun.
Oh, totally.
Because otherwise it's, you're like, no, I don't want to play this again. So you want to make sure that everyone has something to do, according to Andy Ashcraft, and I'm sure he didn't write this rule, is in game design, that you want to make sure everyone has something to do for at least most of the game, right? If there's a lull in their activity, so be it.
Yeah.
And then try to let them, not let them win, but have a decent chance to actually win.
Yes.
And if they lose, hope to God it's close. Because then there's a sense of accomplishment too.
Oh yeah. And we would have battles, but it was still nice because people were really good about if they got hit, it affected them. So there was still some skill involved, even though you would still like negotiate. Like they have out of game mechanics where you put your hand to your head and then you can talk and say, hey, we want to attack you. Is that okay? And then they'll say, okay, yeah, like who do we want to win? So you could kind of figure it out if you wanted. And that was amazing. And then too, nothing could happen to you that you didn't want to happen. Like someone couldn't just kill you. You had to decide how you were affected by it. Okay. So it's a consent type of gameplay, which is awesome. And like at Harry Potter camp too, someone would put a spell, they would say what they wanted the spell to do. Like they would go like, arm and flaglium, and then you would know something should happen to my arm, but you got to decide if it happened or not. You could just go, oh, and like make your arm.
Or you could say, miss me.
Yep. And it was fun because people liked losing, and what would happen was like, I got like attacked and I wanted to be poisoned and everyone kept wanting to fix me. And I kept being like, nope, it didn't work. And I was like, I don't want to be fixed. It's just like, I want to have my arm get like turned into a squirrel or something.
You know, what Andy is really, and all of his friends are actually really, really good at? Paper, scissors, rock.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because that's the game mechanic that they do to figure out who wins things sometimes. And so...
That's a great idea.
He's really good at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
It's a mind game.
Right, it's a mind game. And as far as I'm concerned, it's something I played when I was 6 and never played again.
Yeah.
And so
you're done with it.
I'm done with it. I haven't spent the last 20 years playing paper, scissors, rocks with strangers, friends, and acquaintances. And
that's which is a whole LARP on rock, paper, scissors.
Right. Well, and it was like the Deadwood one. Everyone made like you would make your I'm a prostitute with a heart of gold. Okay. I'm a gunslinger. I'm the innkeeper. I'm whatever, you know, and, again, craft services. I did craft services. And, and then the costumes were amazing.
Oh, totally.
Because people who do this, they spend a quality time.
They have money.
Well, they spend all of their, and it's not, like, I've never had actually an SCA person on. Have you heard of the Society for Creative Anachronism? The Society for Creative Anachronism, I have met people that have been in it, and I've met people that have never been in it.
Okay.
And the people that have been in it go in and out of it a little bit because it can get super intense.
Oh, okay.
Because the Society for Creative Anachronism has a love-hate relationship with accuracy.
Oh, okay.
So if you are using cards and they're plastic covered, no. And you're like, no, okay, because it was 1850. And, but the costumes, because of that,
are so good.
Are the best costumes I've ever seen in my life. And
I love it.
Yeah.
That was so fun seeing everyone's costume. And it was cool for me too because I got to just live out my dreams and become a space alien. And mine was from a specific planet where they like to dress colorful. So I was wearing like my tutu and a cape, and I had pre-ordered like a specific space top, and I had like my boots on, and I loved it. Like I loved it. Like I just got to dress however I wanted, and
That's awesome.
Great.
Well, and that's what it ought to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's
it's so funny. I feel the most myself. I'm dressed up as like a wizard or a space traveler.
Right.
I'm me.
Finally, I get to just be me. Which, the thing is I want to I have my bow and arrow.
Yay.
And I want to wear my moccasins, and I want to have a good time. It's, I'll sit around and play moccasins. Essentially, we still don't know how to camp. Anyway,
I should tell people too that they're doing another Harry Potter. Well, it's not really a Harry Potter LARP, but they're doing the one I did last summer. Yeah, they're doing it again, and it's New World Magiscola. And it's in Richmond, Virginia again. It's in a different school, but they're doing it again, and it's totally worth it. Like I did it last year. I think I'm going to do one LARP a year, and I plan on doing it again, but definitely they still have tickets left. And it's so, if you're a Harry Potter fan or just a wizard fan in general, you'll have so much
magic.
Fun. Yes. And I know a lot of people are afraid because they're just nervous about it, but they are so welcoming, and the new people have just as much fun as people who've been doing it forever.
Right, because it's super inclusive, and they try to make it nice. And
anytime if you see group people doing something and you ask to be a part of it, like it's part of their rules to be like, of course, come on with. Let's make
more the merrier.
Let's do some necromancy together.
But fair enough. It's so you did Nordic.
Those are both Nordic.
Those were both Nordic.
And which most people.
What does that mean?
I guess it's the LARP.
It's the name of the.
Maybe it's more theatrical, I guess, but it's.
It's the name of the kind of LARP it is.
Yes, so it's a type where it's ongoing without game mechanics, without like points or winning, and just telling stories, and then with like I think the aspect of consent, and maybe that's in all of them, but. It's not, and then they have like off play times, and it's, I think just about ending and storytelling.
Andy did you said off playing. You mean where you can just kind of, you're just like, time out, I'm going to go.
Yeah, or they have like between like 1 a.m. and like 4 a.m. Nothing can happen to you. Like, so you can't like sneak into someone's dorm at those times.
Oh, weird.
And then they have off-play zones.
That's right, because you go to like a LARPing weekend.
Yeah, and then people can come in and like cause trouble all night.
Andy's friends will just do it for a night. It'll take 6 months for them to organize this damn thing.
Wow.
And then they'll just do it for a night, and then someone else will, and what's happened is someone else will be like, hey, we're having this LARP. And then they'll all go over to that person's house.
That's so cool.
Like 3 weeks later and do that LARP. And they used to do them more often. I think everybody's got kids and stuff now. But,
well, yeah. And at New World Magiscola, they have one for kids too. So they just started.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So that's inclusive. You can bring your kids to that.
Yeah. I think one of them.
And what's it called?
Yeah. New World Magiscola.
New World. How do you spell Magiscola?
Magischola. New World.
Magich?
GIS.
GIS.
CHOLA. Magiscola.
Magis with an S. And then chola, like a chola.
Chola.
It's good. It's inclusive. It can be any race, any ancestry. Knock yourself out. Any religion, any creed.
You're gonna love it. Just you bring your own one. I ordered like a one. I painted my own, so I made one. That was really fun.
That is really cool.
And I also, for the Harry Potter LARP, it was in Richmond, Virginia, but I flew to New York so I could take a train from New York to Virginia and pretend that I was on the Hot Horse Express. Seriously,
Perfect.
did that. It was awesome. We listened to the Harry Potter soundtrack all the way down, and we were doing our homework on the way, like studying.
Oh, the book and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And did you, the soundtrack, you're talking about the music from the movies?
Music from the movies.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yep.
Have you listened to the Jim Dale?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, he read the books. He did the unabridged audio.
I haven't read.
You haven't listened to the
Listen to the audiobook.
Well, it's weird because is it Stephen Fry? I forget who does. It's weird. They're both British, but there's a British version who says color with a U. And then there's the American version with Jim Dale, who is also British.
That's so funny.
And I have only listened to the Jim Dale ones 1,000 times. And then,
I should do it.
and you should do it because it's actually really cool. He does great voices. And,
awesome.
One time I got to meet him.
What?
I know he was doing something else, but and I was excited about meeting him because Harry Potter and my friend Jenny Bergman in New York had seen him in like, I don't know, Oliver.
Cool.
And he was more excited that she had seen him do theater. And I was like, I have all your books on tape and they're really great. And he's like, that's great. She said, I saw a lot of your productions back in the 80s when I was with my dad. And he was like, you I need to talk to.
Well, I don't know if it's fun to remember. Oh, yeah, it took me probably months and months and months talking to myself alone. I don't know.
In a studio. Did you like that? Did you have a good time listening to that? Good for you.
Yeah, I'll never get my voice back.
I have a Hagrid voice. Do you want to hear it right now? Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Thank you for asking. My dreams are coming true.
Did you see Fantastic Beasts, the movie?
Yes, I've seen it twice. I love it so much.
Okay, I've only seen it on a plane.
Okay, I saw it on a plane and in a theater.
And I saw it on mute. On the plane.
Interesting. So you haven't really seen
I have not really seen it, but there's a lot of things I have. I saw the Jack Reacher movie on mute as well.
What?
That felt okay.
So weird.
I still got it. The weird thing about the Jack Reacher movie is because Tom Cruise plays Jack Reacher, and Jack Reacher is tiny. Jack Reacher isn't tiny. Tom Cruise is tiny.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I was like,
right. Jack Reacher's supposed to be 6'5". So Tom Cruise is like 5'5" or 5'6".
Yeah,
and
tiny.
so you know when you go to Disneyland and the main street in Disneyland has got this 75% forced perspective.
Remember.
Well, it's small, so the kids don't feel like it's not a big city. That was the Jack Reacher movie. It had a forced perspective so that Tom Cruise looked bigger.
I love it. That's what I've heard. It's harder for taller women to get roles sometimes because they make, or taller people in general, because they make the guys look so short, and it's so hard to.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I'd heard that, and I was like, well,
a lot of the action hero guys, like Matt Damon, is pretty short, and he has a giant head. And
it's so weird to me that actors are short because in like the business world, it's typically, they say like most CEOs are like over 6 feet tall. So it's weird to think that short guys have a chance in Hollywood, but like don't. It's
not in real
not
life.
in real life.
Right.
But it's great. I'm glad.
Well, good. Because I mean, they could, and I remember in college, you'd meet like these tiny buff guys and you're like, hey, tiny buff guy, you're awesome. And they always had better personalities than,
totally.
Than they, because they had to.
I've heard from friends, it's harder to date. Like they just find life is harder being short. And I never even considered it because I was like, I'm tall and it sucks to be tall, but it's still not the same type because at least
it's a different challenge.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's all, I was just thinking about this, like the millennial generation, I think gets more guff than any generation that I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. I'm like, it's okay, guys. It'll all work out. I do, Gramication would like you to have a job. But other than that, I'm not going to bust your job. So,
totally.
We were playing some board game and, somebody like 20-year-old didn't know which way was next. And somebody else said, you don't know which way clockwise is? Is it because of digital? Because of digital clocks? And I was like, I don't know which way clockwise is offhand. It takes me a second to figure it out.
Because you want to make sure you're right.
Yeah.
And also when you're playing a board game, you're just like, wait, it never feels right to me.
It never feels right because you go left.
Yeah.
And we all know the devil is left-handed. What? What happened there? It all fell apart. It's, So did you what did you guys do in Japan? Did you get to game or,
We went to a bunch of arcades. We played pachinko, which is their slot machines.
It's a slot machine?
But it's different because you get like a bag full of tiny metal balls, and they're each worth 0.2 of a yen. So they're worth barely anything. And then you play like this little ping pong, like this little pinball game with them. And like, it was so weird because in Las Vegas casinos, it's just about getting you to lose as much money as fast as possible. This felt like it was genuinely like, let's have fun.
Well, like a game that cost you $5 or something?
Well, we paid $1 and paid for an hour. And at the end, technically, like, they're not allowed to exchange it for money. You might have to, like, go off-site or something with, like, a coupon. But we stayed on-site and you could trade it in for prizes.
Okay.
So, like, we got, like, a bunch of Japanese candy. And so we paid 100 yen, which is pretty close to $1, like 85 cents. And we got, like, a bunch of candy. We played for an hour. I was like, Japanese, they get casinos right. Like they respect the people.
I saw something on Facebook. You ate, like, 5 7-Eleven hot dogs?
Oh, corn dogs. I know.
What? I do a podcast with Lori Kilmartin, and she talked about going to Japan and eating at 7-Eleven, and I was like, stop eating at 7-Eleven.
No, it's different.
Tell me why is it different? Oh, it's not that different.
It's not. Like, I heard, like, before I went there, like, I was watching these documentaries. They're like, you'll be surprised. People go get food from 7-Eleven. Because, like, I guess 7-Eleven is from Japan, Japanese company. Someone told me that. I never looked it up. But they're just everywhere, and it was just fast.
When I was in Hong Kong, there were so many 7-Elevens. You could stand in a 7-Eleven and see another 7-Eleven.
Totally.
And all the comics would make jokes about it.
Yes.
And how many 7-Elevens there were.
I know. And I think it was just because I
like a corn dog?
I apparently love corn dogs. I did not know that. And to me, it was so funny to me to be eating a corn dog. And like, I go all the way to Japan to eat corn dogs. I was like, I'm just going to keep this going. At first, it was just like, I was hungry, so I got a corn dog.
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, maybe I'll have 2 corn dogs. And I don't like sushi or seafood, so Alex,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
So Alex, we would go up for him. He would just order sushi, and I would sit and watch. So he was just at seafood places eating, and there was nothing there for me unless I wanted
soup or
even
noodles.
Soup had seafood in it, which was fine, but it got in my head, and I just started picturing fishes, and I don't know why fish freak me out, but because I choked on a fish bone when I was a kid, and now for some reason I just think. There's bones and everything. But there's bones in chicken, and I still eat chicken. It's fine. But you
might want to chug through that one because you're an adult and you won't choke on chicken.
I won't.
You won't choke on a bone because you got your motor skills down now. I believe in you.
Yeah, I did have some seafood just to kind of try it, but
but it's not. But if you don't like it,
I don't like it. I don't like it.
then you're like, well, I'm in a country that really prides itself on its seafood.
Yes.
I will try it, and I will not enjoy it.
And I will not.
And I will move forward.
And it's not because I'm just trying to be a pain. I just
right. You just don't like it.
So Alex would eat his sushi, and I would go get corn dogs. And I still ate like really good noodles and ramen, and like
it was great ramen. And
I had a lot of really good food, and it was awesome. But so here was our running joke was that like Alex knows how much I love Pokemon Go. We were on our way to go shopping, but we saw a Pokemon Center, and it was on the 13th floor of this building, and we couldn't find the elevator, so we took 13 escalators. So it took a long time, and the excitement was just building, and I'm just like playing Pokemon Go as I'm like on my way up, and I get there, and it's just basically a Pokemon Go store, but for me, I was like, I'm in Pokemon Disney World! And I was like, this is amazing, I'm having so much fun, and he kept being like, when are you going to be done? And I was like, well, I need an hour for every aisle. I was like, we're going to be here for a while, and he was just like, ah. But then when I told him he could pick something out, he was like, oh, I was like, yeah, pick something out. Then
pick a toy.
He was like, what should I get? So then his whole perspective changed. But I had so much fun at the Pokemon store. Like, they had things were kind of a little expensive, but I was like, who cares? And we just
you're in Japan.
We're in Japan, and I got like these little nano brick things, and then when you check out,
what's a nano brick?
They're little mini Legos.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing those, and we got done, and we left, and immediately after we got back to our hotel, I was like, I want to go back. So I convinced him to let me go back later that night.
Okay.
And so we went back later that night, and I was like, it was the same, and I was just as excited. And I like looked at everything, and we stayed even longer. Oh and God. I got a few more things, and then we took pictures wearing like Pokemon hats, these little like things they gave out. And so we'd had 4 at that time, and we took a picture in front of the Pokemon sign, and Alex is just crossing his arms. I'm just smiling crazily. And then the next morning, we have a couple hours before our flight, and I go, let's go to Pokemon Center again. So we went 3 times in 2 days, and we went. That's
hilarious.
The minute it opened, we were the first people in there. I was like, this is so great. I can touch everything, and there's no one around.
Did they recognize you?
I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think I definitely stood out wearing pigtails, and I kept the Pokemon hats on. And Alex at one point was like, because we were wearing like the Pokemon ears, so it's like dressed as like Jolteon. And we're walking down the streets, and Alex, we get back.
I like that you said that like I know who Jolteon is.
Yeah, Jolteon.
You know.
Vaporeon, Flareon. We get back to the hotel, and Alex was like, wow, you did so good. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, everyone was staring at you, and you didn't care at all. And I was like, everyone was staring at me? He was like, yes. Literally everyone looked at you and then went up and down your giant body and was just at everyone. And I was like, I didn't even notice. Why didn't you tell me? He's like, well, you're wearing those ears. I just took mine off, and I thought you knew. And I was like, no, I did not know. But I didn't mind.
That's fine. It's you were fulfilling every Japanese dream of seeing the giant American enjoy Pokemon. So there you go. It all worked out.
Yep, worked out.
It's That is hilarious.
Thank you.
Did you get to see anything Japanese? Did you go to a
Oh my
pagoda?
gosh.
Did you see a thing?
We went to Buddhist temples, Shinto shrines, castles. We went on a bike ride along one of the rivers.
You rented bicyclettes?
They had just like they have in like Minnesota,
Motor
like the nice
scooters or-
rides.
Oh.
They were powered, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was just like
Just a regular
bikes.
bike.
Yeah, with electric built in, which was awesome. So we did that, and we did through a tour group from Groupon. So every day was jam packed with we had like some free days, but we went to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, and we did like a river cruise, and we got to go up Mount Fuji, and yeah, everything. We got to dress as samurai. We got to do a traditional kaiseki dinner.
You got to dress as samurai?
Yeah, at one
Where
of the
was
places
that?
at Osaka Palace.
Is it Osaka or is it?
Oh, they say Osaka,
They
so
say
that's
Osaka?
how I'm gonna say it.
It's their town. You know what? Oregon.
Yeah,
I'll say
Oregon.
not Oregon. I'll say Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah, we did so, and I normally when I travel, I like to just sleep until noon and do a couple things. But we
Yeah.
were up every day, 7 a.m. until like 10 at night, and we didn't even see everything. And while we were still there, like the second day, we were already planning our next trip.
Right. Because it was so great.
It was so great.
And how long were you there?
9 days.
9 days. That's perfect.
Oh, totally. It was
Because you should, you gotta, especially if you're
everything.
doing more than one city.
to make the flights worth it too, because like the flights say the same price, might as well add on an extra day.
Yeah.
And the hotels through the tour, like it's so great. You could tell they weren't taking advantage of us. Like we did pay close to like $2,000 a person,
Right.
But
for 9 days?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And the hotels we stayed at were like Westin and Hilton, like a hotel that Obama stayed at when he was in Kyoto.
Right. So this this wasn't a Super 8 where you had to deal with cigarettes in the blanket.
No, this was not a comedy
It wasn't a comedy condo.
tour.
It was fun.
It was great. Yeah, so I totally recommend it. I mean, it's so cool. Everyone I talk to has either been to Japan or wants to go to Japan. I feel like we've just
Andy
been
would
grown
love
up.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just this weird, it's like.
I want to go to Vietnam. I want to go to Thailand. Those are the places I want to go to. But guess what? I'm still willing to go to Japan. We're going to Iceland.
Oh,
We're going to
yeah.
Ireland and Iceland at the end of July or first week of August.
That'll
so
be really sweet.
It'll be neat.
We want to do Germany next. We're trying to get. Well, yeah, I should say my mom paid for our trip to Japan. So.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
She didn't want me to tell people. She's like, no. I was like, I don't want to tell people that I did. I don't want
Right.
I don't know why.
The trip to Iceland, I've been saving up for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
To go to Paris.
Oh yeah.
And to go to
cool.
France. And then we're too close to Iceland to not take advantage of Iceland. So
cool.
we're going to Iceland instead.
That'll be great.
And it'll be amazing. I mean, we're renting a car in Reykjavik and driving up to this national park in the north of Iceland,
pretty.
which is only like 4 or 5 hours away.
Cool.
And, here, we live here. So a 4-hour drive is nothing.
That's cool. I want to do that too. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So so you just got back like last week or
Yeah,
something,
we
right?
got- and that's
what
why-
month did you go in?
We just like it
May?
was May. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got back on Monday. And
Because this won't go, I think this goes up in July.
okay, cool. We got back on in May, and it was a perfect time to go because it was like 70s while we were there. Oh,
I forgot to unplug the phone, you guys.
Go get it.
Go get it.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
So you were there in May. The phone rang because I've literally recorded 5 episodes of the Dork Forest because we're going to Iceland and I got to have them banked. And so banking them up.
Yeah, we went in end of May, which is great because it was like 70s
Wow.
the whole time, and we missed cherry blossom season, but I have really bad sinuses, so it was actually good that we went end of May, and it's like right before the rainy season in June, and it only rained once, and it was while we were on a bus, like traveling between cities, so it was perfect. So I think May is a good time to go. And we did it through Groupon and then Affordable Asia if anyone else wants to go, and we loved it. Like we had a tour guide who was fluent in English and also from Japan and knew so many things about everything. So we got like tours like throughout.
Yeah.
It was like taking a class. It was really great.
That's
His
amazing.
name was Satake.
All right.
Satake. And everyone in our tour was so fun too. Well, I don't know everyone, but people who we were
How many people were on it?
like 30.
There were
Yeah.
like 30 people that you kind of traveled with for the
Yeah.
whole 9 days?
Yep. And mostly it was just between destinations, and when you got to like touristy spots, you would kind of be with them, but then you didn't spend too much time, so you could go on your own.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but one time when we were in Mount Fuji, everyone got a yukata that they could wear, and we all put them on and went out down to dinner, and then we all like had a party in one of the halls, and we're drinking sake and just like hanging out, and it was really fun. And someone on the group, she does promotional material for Nintendo, so we were talking Pokemon Go the whole time too, and it was amazing. And then another guy played baseball, and Alex played baseball, so we just like coupled up. We were just,
that's awesome.
They're from I think Washington or Oregon, so yeah, we made friends.
Andy's super. He's good talking to strangers. I talk to strangers too many times, too often in work, right? So whenever it's like we're on vacation, I'm like, I'm not. Who are you? You seem nice.
What's up with
and
you?
It turns out they are. People are
awesome.
nice. People are great.
Oh, totally.
And we went on this cruise ship for I was stand up, and then it was also a gaming cruise.
Oh,
it was
cool.
this Joko nerd cruise.
Recently?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And it was a cruise down to Mexico, and so we go. And we get to San Diego the day before we get on the cruise ship, and we're just on an elevator with two people that are obviously going to be on the cruise.
Yeah.
Because we recognize kindred spirits. As soon as you see, like, Joko Nerd Cruise, you're like, oh, these are my people. And and it's this, it's a line graph of ones I want to hang out with and ones I don't want to hang out with. But for the most part, I want to hang out with them. Yeah. And so Andy starts talking to them, and he's like, hey, we're going to dinner. Are you eating? And they came with us, and it was brother and sister. The woman, she did the Dork Forest, and she ended up doing the Dork Forest. It was Rebecca Sugar, who is the executive producer of Steven Universe, created Steven Universe cartoon, and her brother, Steven.
Whoa.
Yes.
You're like, way to go, Andy. This is so fun.
They were super funny and really nice.
That's great.
And so I like how social he is, and
it's good. I think that's a good pair.
Yeah, and I have a hard time, like whenever I think about going on a tour, I always think, no, I'm going to find the nuggets by myself or whatever craziness.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and you're like, no, I don't live there.
Yeah.
Get a book at the very least.
Get some inside info. Well, anytime we were walking off on our own, I'm like the total where I'm just like, we're never going to find anything. Let's Google it. Let's find something. And Alex's like, let's just wander. And I'm like, no. And he's right. We eventually find something. Like,
right.
Cool
It's always
place. But I'm just like, I want to know. I want to know
where we're going. Well, when we went, a couple years after we got married, we went and, did a honeymoon 1 week in Venice and 1 week in Florence. And every day I said, I don't know how you travel, but here's how I like to travel in foreign countries. I like to, get up early. I like 7, 8 o'clock, have a nice breakfast, whatever's happening, and then go to two things.
Okay.
One thing in the morning, like a church or a museum, a lunch, a nice lunch. Another church or museum, whatever because it's Italy, right? So it's going to be a church or a museum.
You don't just do churches everywhere you go.
And, right. It's not just, Iceland's not going to be chock full of medieval churches. And then at around 3 or 4, we get a cup of coffee and have a seat. Then we go home, we take a nap, we go back to the hotel, we get up, we have a nice dinner around 7 or 8, and then we go to sleep around 10.
Perfect.
And make sweet, sweet love if we want to. And then we get up and we do it again. And he was like, I'll do that. Okay. That sounds fun. Because two touristy things a day, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And so we ended up going to like sort of the same coffee shop like 3 times in Venice. And if I like to go to the same place sometimes.
I
just
like that. Then you
it makes me feel like I live there.
Yeah. That was what's so fun in Japan was finding cool places just randomly, like, because when it came to eating, we were like on our own. Like we would provide meals at the restaurant or at the hotels. But we found this one place, it was called Kick Up, and it was a bar in Kyoto right by our hotel. And it was so cool. It had like this dungeon feel. And like the reviews weren't that good on it, but I was like, people are insane. This place is amazing. Like the food wasn't that great, but it was bar food. It was like rating bar food in Japan. This is so cool. So I like wrote a review and
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Todd Berry has a theory about the 3.5, the 3.5 star Yelp review. He said it's usually a great place that one person didn't like.
Totally.
And he's like, I love a 3.5 star. Nobody's there. And,
no, I'm figuring that out because it's like people are just
can be grumpy and weird.
Yeah, and they take it out on the weirdest thing. Yeah, so, and then there is hardly any Yelp in Japan. They don't use it, so it did not help us very much. We would end up just wandering around thinking like the place may be closed like 10 years ago. Like,
right.
They don't, there was hardly any reviews on anything. So,
but most of the food was great. Most of the restaurants were great.
Oh yeah. Alex loved his sushi he got.
We had mediocre Chinese food in Hong Kong, which was annoying. I was like, hey guys, you're mostly Chinese here. I've never seen so many Chinese people in my life. But it was sort of, it made sense because if it's 11 million Chinese people, there's going to be a mediocre restaurant. And we found a couple of them, and we found some great ones. And the first night we were there in Hong Kong, we had Tex-Mex. Not Tex-Mex. It was it was Mexican.
So interesting. We didn't see very much Mexican in Japan. I don't think really any.
Right. There were no themes.
They had like Italian theme or like
a buca de beppo. It's family style. Come and have it. And this night, the noodles are udon. Is that okay?
Yes.
And whatever.
Udon spaghetti. Yeah.
This was a kind of a travel episode.
Yeah.
It was kind of great. And thick on the ground, Pokemon. So we did some nice Harry Potter, some nice Pokemon.
Love it. That's travel too. Go to a magical world.
Exactly. Go to magical world. Andy Erikson, by the way, is who I'm talking to. Rangers. Andy Erikson. Andy Erikson. Erikson. And it's at Andy Erikson on all the things. AndyErikson.com. Yeah. Are you doing stand up in July?
Actually, August 10th.
August 10th?
I'm doing, we're taking our podcast idea and making it into a live stand up variety sketch show at the Comedy Central stage. So we want people to come to that. It's free, August 10th, Comedy Central stage.
Here in Los Angeles?
Here in Los Angeles.
Okay. And are you doing the road much or that people should check if there's shows?
If you go to a college, check my page because I'm doing a bunch of colleges in August.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So Andy Erikson obviously did well at NACA.
Yeah.
So,
well, I didn't get anything from NACA's not turning good, nothing that week, but they followed up. I got a good agent, yeah.
There you go. It's all working out, you guys.
In colleges.
It's coming together.
Oh, I gave away kittens, little stuffed animal kittens at my NACA's, and it was so fun.
Oh, cool.
And I loved it. I love stuffed animals.
And you loved, well, we should have talked about, next time we'll talk about stuffed animals. Yes. All right. Cool. Andy Erikson, you guys go see her do stand-up because it's super fun and adorable, as are you. And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?